Ron and Claude were going to go up and check on the cows because they ranged the cows way up Lynx Creek. And I decided I was going to go with them and take my gun and hunt. So I was in the back of the pickup, and we go way up there, didn't see anything on the way up, and coming back down, I was telling Claude to slow down because I'm hunting, because he was just a-talking and just a-driving down the road. So he slowed down, and by the time we got down towards the bottom, it was getting pretty late, and it was pretty dusky, and sometimes when you're on those dirt roads and you go through really wooded areas, it gets really dark, and the trees were real thick, and it was just really dark in there, and I'm just a-watching in there for deer. And I'm standing up in the back of the pickup with my gun, and I'm looking around, and we kind of went by that area, and in the trees I saw something hanging on to trees like this, and it was really tall, and it was really hairy, and it was looking at us going by like, what are you doing here? And it just kept looking at us, and I thought, what did I just see? And I was going to tell those guys, stop, back up, I think I just saw Bigfoot. And then I got scared to have them stop and back up because I'm pretty sure it was Bigfoot. And I never said anything to him, and then after we got home I was telling Ron about it, and he said, well, you should have stopped us, we would have backed up and looked. And I said, that's what I was afraid of, I really didn't want to go back and look. And it was pretty scary, and even now when we go up that way and I go through that section of road there, I still think about it, and it just kind of makes me eerie when I go up there when it's that dark time.
Will darkness let me be? Demons chase me in the night. Hope they'll be gone before daylight.
It was about November. We had a friend up from the coast. His name was Dave. He was wanted to see some country, and we loaded him up and back up with a gun, and we decided to travel up by the Finley Ponds and up to a place called the Interstate, because the hunting's usually always pretty good up there. And we were driving along there, and it's not clear dark, and it's not even really dark dusk. It's just right before at that time, you know, where everything's gray. We saw the rear end of a couple of muleys, and I was gonna kind of flush them out the other side there so we could get a shot at them and stuff. But I started walking into the really dense tree line. I mean, because trees are so close together, and the limbs are so tight that you can't see very deep in them, so you gotta go get right in there with them. So I walked about 20 feet off the road, and I heard this sound, and it's like something barking at me. And the higher I got, the more aggressive the barking was. But it wasn't like a dog or anything like that. It was like a combination of sounds, like an eagle screech, a crow cawing, and a dog barking all at the same time. You know, just a real sharp, aggressive. There's the highs, the lows. The whole sound was broken up with a screech and to boot. It was just all at once, a whack like that. And the more I went up the hill, the more aggressive these sounds were. Just bam, bam, bam. They just go right after you. Like, it was giving me the idea that I wasn't supposed to be there. So as I traveled back down the hill around the arc a little bit, the sounds got a little less aggressive, and I got out on the road and they stopped. So I walked towards, it would be the north, and I knew there was an opening there, and it was the direction the deer had gone. I figured maybe I can catch them crossing the opening there, and I walked around over that way, and I didn't see him up there, so I started walking up that opening and got about 20 feet off the road and started to bark at me again. I got a little higher, got closer to 40 feet up there, and it was really getting aggressive again. I turned around, walked back down, and got in the truck.
While he was up on the hill, Dave and we were kind of walking back behind the truck because I was waiting for him to flush the deer down so I could get a shot at one of them, and we heard it. And after we heard it a couple times, we both looked at each other like, what was that? but we didn't say anything, and we both just turned around and went and got back in the truck and waited for Ron.
But it was really, really loud. That was
Yeah.
something that was, I mean, it was really loud. So we drive back home, which is, you know, half an hour, 45 minutes, and we're sitting in the front room there, and I looked over at Dave, and I said, by the way, I said, what was that sound that we were hearing up there? And he kind of looks at me through the corner of his eye, and he says, I know what that was. He says, but I really don't want to say. I said, well, now you gotta say. And he goes, well, he says, I've seen this. He says, I've heard this before over on the coast. He said, I've seen this before. He said, I've seen this. He said, the Sasquatch. He said, I watched one across the field. And he said, I've heard these sounds before over there. And we got a little silent there. And I said, well, why would we have waited? I mean, it just seemed odd that we would wait so long to ask these questions about what was that sound.
All three of us, yeah.
Nobody said a word about like, oh, that was so cool. What was that or anything? It was like we waited 45 minutes to even discuss it because I think we were all had the same thing in mind. It was unnatural sound, and you know, it was in a very dense area of steep mountains and dense woods and a lot of rock cliffs and stuff. So it would be real easy to stay out of sight up there.
And it's still scary to drive through that area, even in the middle of the day, to me.
I've been there a few times at night, and I tell you, that really brings the hackles up on the back of your neck. The Old Lady of the Summit is a story, a ghost story, or legend, or whatever. It's supposed to have been when the Bridge Creek Highway was built. The grave of her son was unearthed, and that she always walks this certain stretch of road looking for her son. And she was, every now and then, when you're driving there, people will see an old woman walking up the road. She'll be dressed in like a shawl with over her head and old style dress, and she's dressed really dark. Now, one of our people that saw one is our son saw her one time and said that when you look under the shawl, you can't see anything but black. And it just horrifies him going over the summit. He goes over it as fast as he can. But ultimately, she will stop. And if you stop and let her in, she'll get in the car sometimes. And as you drive off, you look back and she's not in your car anymore. She's not in the back seat of your car.